Welcome to the final demo of our beta release for milestone DE2. To showcase what has been delivered so far, I will now take you through a very simplified journey of a bill being drafted by the PCO, shared with the Scottish Parliament, and continue its journey through Parliament and eventually prepared for enactment. Here I am logged in as a PCO user. When I first log in, I am taken to my dashboard, which shows all the projects that I have access to, filtered to show the ones that I have marked as my favourite. For this demo, I shall create a simple bill, the Apologies Scotland Bill, which was introduced in March 2015 and subsequently received royal assent in February 2016. The system will take you to the editor, displaying the appropriate document template updated with pre-populated rubric and the title supplied when creating the project. The cursor is positioned in the body element, ready for users to start building up the structure of their bill. By clicking Enter, the Content Completion Assistant appears, with a list of valid elements that can be inserted at this point. I shall insert a section, the most common starting provision in a bill, and therefore the default element at the top of the CCA. The section element consists of a section number and section heading, together with a starting subsection. We chose to configure it this way as subsections are arguably the most common way that sections are drafted. However, if you don't want a subsection, it is very easy using a keyboard shortcut to promote the subsection into a plain section content element. From here, I can continue adding structure to my section by clicking Enter to bring up the CCA, or the keyboard shortcut Ctrl+Enter to insert the next default element. Here's the complete as introduced version of the Apologies Scotland Bill, which will make it easier to show the other editing features we have built. It's very easy to play around with the structure of the document after you've provided some initial provisions by using the Wrap, Surround With, or Unwrap functionality. For example, if I felt like my bill needed further grouping, I would highlight one or more of my sections and using the right-click context menu select Surround With and select Part. This will insert a part into my document, but crucially insert it correctly into the underlying XML. Conversely, to safely remove a part or other grouping element, the user would select the element and using the right-click context menu select Unwrap, which will extract the part from the XML. The next thing to demonstrate is the insertion of cross-references. There are two approaches to cross-references: automatic tagging or manual pasting, with both implementations inserting the correct markup into the underlying XML and will both be automatically updated when the provisions move around. To automatically tag cross-references, the user can select one or more provisions and click on the XREF button, selecting Tag XREF from the drop-down menu. The system will scan the selected text and using pattern recognition will identify any potential cross-references and search again the rest of the document for the target. The text you see in orange represents valid cross-references successfully identified and marked up by the system. To manually paste the cross-reference into the document, the user searches for the target provision using the structure view and using the right-click context menu selects the format they require and simply pastes that into the desired location in the editor. If the cross-reference provision later moves, the system is able to detect this and either automatically update the cross-reference, or if it can't update the cross-reference, it will flag to the user that they need to check. I can demonstrate this by changing the number of the cross-referred subsection and selecting Update XREF on my highlighted provision containing the cross-references. You will see that the system has identified that the subsection number has changed and has automatically updated the cross-reference for the user. As I slot new provisions into my document during the drafting process and move them around, you'll see that the system adopts a special numbering format. This can easily be corrected using the Renumber button in the upper toolbar. Quoted structures can easily be inserted using the right-click context menu or a keyboard shortcut. You will need to select a document type, the starting element, and whether or not you need start and end quotes and any following text appearing after the inserted text. I shall select a section as my starting element, which will insert a quoted structure into my document containing the section ready for me to draft the content. The CCA works in the same way within the quoted structure, and when I finish my text, I can tab out of the quoted structure and resume drafting with the rest of my document. Moving provisions around is achieved through the use of cut, copy and paste, which works within the same document or across different documents in the same project or in different projects. This can be especially useful when you need to draft a new bill which is largely based on an existing bill, for instance, as you can copy the entire body of another bill and paste it into a new one. Here I shall select a section and move it so that it appears after another section. We are using Oxygen Web Editor, which comes with a whole host of out-of-the-box features, including Find and Replace, Tracked Changes, Comments, Spell Check, editing the document in XML, text formatting, including bold, underline, italic, inserting special characters, and undo, redo. You may have noticed during the demo that the system is auto-saving changes periodically in the background, which is our backup strategy should the system lose connection at any time. A backup of the user's unsaved changes are being stored with the document as a snapshot version, and if connectivity was lost, when the user logs back in, they will be given the opportunity to continue working on their unsaved changes or discard their changes. It is possible for more than one drafter to work on the same document at the same time due to our fragment locking model. As I draft, you will see locks appearing in the structure view, signifying that I had those provisions locked to me for editing. If I log in as another user and edit the same document, you will see the padlocks in the structure view, and the editor grays out the provisions that are locked. Any provisions without padlocks are available to me to start editing. When I click Save, the system will save the changes to my locked provisions, release those locks, and also bring back any changes made by other users editing at the same time that they had saved since my last save. It is easy for users to insert a table of contents for their bill should they require one by clicking on the Insert Front Cover button in the upper toolbar. You will see a table of contents is automatically generated, and if I was to make further changes to the document structure, I can reinsert a front cover and that will refresh the table of contents. In this demonstration, I will show how a PCO user would share their version of the bill with Scottish Parliament. If I log on as the Scottish Parliament user, you can see that I do not have access to the Apology Scotland bill as a version hasn't been shared with me yet. Returning as a PCO user, when I'm ready to share my bill version, I can click on the Share button, and this will create a significant version which appears on the right-hand side of the project page and is read-only. As a Scottish Parliament user, when I refresh my dashboard, I am now able to see the Apology Scotland bill, and when I open the project, I can now see the shared version in the read-only format. They can create a duplicate version from this significant version, which will become their working version and not visible to PCO users. I shall now prepare the bill for introduction by opening it up for editing and updating the bill number, the session number and year, the introduction date, the introducing member, and finally the version rubric to As Introduced. You will see the document updating with these changes as I add them in the document information right-hand panel. I will save these changes and return to the project page in order to generate my PDF for publishing on the Scottish Parliament website. As this is the As Introduced version of the bill, there will be no track changes. However, I will need to include footers and line numbers, and I shall call this version for the website. When I click Generate, the PDF will be rendered and loaded into a separate tab for me to review. This PDF will be sent for publishing on the website, and to indicate that this was the version sent, the user can click the Upload button, which will create a significant version visible to all users in the system in read-only format. As the bill enters Stage 2, amendments can be tabled, which is not in scope of this initial beta release. However, as amended versions of the bill can still be generated using the Track Change feature. To start this process, the Scottish Parliament user will need to duplicate the as introduced version of the bill and save it to Stage 2 on the project page. Using Track Changes, they can update the bill version for publication as shown in the version I prepared earlier. When they have finished updating the other metadata in the document and optionally reinserting the front cover, they can save the version and share with PCO for checking. Assuming all is good, they can then generate a new PDF, this time choosing to apply the changes with sidelining, footers, and line numbering. And here is the PDF produced for an as-amended version of the bill with sidelining. The Scottish Parliament user can optionally repeat this amending process for Stage 3 and beyond if necessary until the bill is passed. After passing, the Scottish Parliament users need to generate 3 different versions of the document. Firstly, the Palace copy, which shows the final version of the bill once passed and is submitted to the Palace for royal assent. Next, the official print, which is the enacted version signed by the Clerk of the Parliament and will be printed on archive quality paper and eventually sent to archives. And finally, the Queen's printer version, which is submitted to the National Archives publishing system and will eventually be published on legislation.gov website as an act. For this initial beta release, users will need to download a zip file containing the PDF and XML for the selected document version and upload that manually onto the National Archives publishing system. In future, we will be building an interface to allow for electronic submissions between the two systems. We have lots of new releases planned for this tool, which include drafting SIs and SSIs, extending this bill drafting functionality to UK drafters in Parliament, as well as drafting and managing amendments for all jurisdictions. As well as adding to the functionality, we will also be working hard on improving the accessibility of the system and general user experience to help make this tool as simple as possible to use. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit like if you're watching this on YouTube.